What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Resellers podcast with Daily Refinement. Today, during our morning mastermind, I'm going to record this part because I feel like it's really important. This is also the high level call, which we do on Fridays. Yesterday, I was talking to somebody in the group, and I was thinking about something that is really pretty profound. When everyone starts reselling, they're probably doing an item here or item there, looking around their house or starting to get a couple of sales. And they go from making no money to starting to make some money on eBay or Amazon or Poshmark. And then they suddenly go from a few sales here or there to making a few $1,000s a month. Now, if you think of that on a percentage basis, it's like a massive increase to go from, few $100s a month to a few $1,000s a month. You just went a 10x. The thing is, when you're first starting, you don't know how to do any of this. So everything takes a really long time. Setting up your printer takes 4 hours. Finding your first item takes a whole day. You come home, 5 of the 6 items you purchased are not profitable or sell too slow. And then you start implementing some systems. Maybe you watch some YouTube, maybe listen to a few of my calls and find out, wow, I can really streamline a bunch of this stuff. And now you have your thrift route, and Autumn is a good example of a person in the group, I think, that is pretty much maxed out what she can do. She only has a certain amount of time. She has a thrift route that she's used to. She knows all these brands. And here's the part where I think people get confused when they listen to my channel or my podcast. The reason why I am changing ideas is because I want to get to the next level. Whatever you are doing right now will not get you to where you are going. Just by definition, whatever got you here is going to keep you here. So if, for example, you are sourcing at the flea market, and then you find out that sourcing at thrift stores is more profitable for you, you have to change. It makes more sense. So I'm going to give you guys this analogy, and I think it should really help. What we're actually doing in our resale business is we're running this reselling machine. It's a machine that has an input, which is like things that you find, and it has an output, which is sales. Every single person listening right now, if you put better stuff into your machine, it'll produce a better result. That's first off. Better stuff always produces a better result. And you have to do everything all year in thinking about how you can get better stuff into your machine. Usually you can't get your stuff for cheaper. All the stuff that we sell is usually between $0 and $20, and this sells between $10 and $1,000. Like 99.9% of the stuff that we sell is all in that range. So really, the input into the machine, that part, the actual stuff that's going in the machine can only be improved so much. At some point, you're going to have to put more stuff into the machine. So your machine is picking and packing your items, sourcing, sorting, grading, pricing, researching, staging, photographing, listing, storage. All of that stuff is the actual machine. When you make an upgrade to the machine, you actually increase your hourly wage. That's how I look at it. So the problem was when I first started reselling, I would make changes because they were new. Somebody would say, hey, Catherine, hey, Chris, have you tried photographing with a phone? And I'd be like, no, I haven't. Let me go and try it. And I didn't think, does this make my machine better? I just thought it's new. I got to try it. And now I'm not doing that. I really think hard. Is this going to improve my machine? Can better stuff go in, or does more stuff come out of it if I add this improvement? So as an example, does having shelves with bins on them make more money than having shelves that are stacked? It depends. If you have time to take the bins off of each other, and for some reason sales always happen on the bottom bins, you got to take the top 3 off to get to the bottom bin to get your item that's sold. If you can't use that time for something else, then it doesn't save you money buying shelves. But if shelves adds 1 or 2 hours of time to your week and you use that time to improve the machine, then it definitely works. So in a perfect world, items arrive at Judith's house completely ready to photograph. They've been cleaned, prepped, Every single one is a profit margin that she's looking for, right? At her house, if she wants to do this alone, she photographs, lists it, puts it into her storage system, ships it out. That would be the most efficient use of her time because she could spend her entire time just photographing, listing, and pumping these items out, right? That's, I think for the solo person, the biggest possible game changer is reliable, predictable sourcing. If you're not doing anything with any help, you're just doing it by yourself. Now, the best way to do predictable, in my opinion, is a route. And that's what we're doing when we're like, hey, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G are the stores I normally go to. F's not as good anymore, so I'm going to replace it with H. It's super important to trade up. You do not have more time. Vincent wanted to talk about the book 10X versus 2X on today's call, the high level call. And honestly, I like that concept so much. I read every single one of that guy's books because I was like, this is so useful. I can't work any harder. I already work hard. Everybody here works hard. You guys wake up, you have your family stuff, you have your, and if I were to say to Seth, can you make twice as much money? Or Claudia, can you make twice as much money? Would they ever say, my answer is I want to work twice as many hours? No one would ever say that. You can't. There's not twice as many hours for me to work. You have to do something different with your time. Have to do something different with your time, something that's higher yield. And I think a lot of people are looking to get to the point where they hire someone so they do not have to do the work. That's the wrong idea. So somebody says, hey, I want to hire somebody to clean shoes for me. This is a very common one. I want to hire someone to clean shoes for me so I don't have to clean shoes. That's actually the wrong way to look at it. You want to hire someone to clean shoes for you so you can do something of higher value, not nothing. You want to do something like talking to 3 different shoe vendors, and then you might be able to get shoes that don't require cleaning. There are a lot of shoe sellers. Go ahead.
I'm in this place right now where I want to go up, and I don't know how without hiring somebody.
That's right.
Because I can't do more. I mean, I'm trying to do 15 Monday through Friday, but it's very hard.
Yep.
And I would love to hire someone to come to do 20 so I could be out there sourcing more so I could go up to 20. But how would I do that without hiring? Because I feel like I've hit a wall.
It's a great question. Okay. So there's a couple of things that you're doing right now. You're basically doing all of the sourcing and you're doing all of the photographs and listing. Now, here's the thing. Probably with your schedule, you could not list 30 consistently because there's not enough.
Yeah, I don't feel like I could.
Right now, right? You might. And so for you to be able to list 30, you'd have to change something. And this is where people get really uncomfortable because you can't do what you're currently doing and list 30. And this is, I think people get a little bit thrown off by this too. I'm not saying you need to list 30. I'm just saying thinking about how to list 30 or 150 items a day. How do you do 10 times more? That is what gives you the information you need to become more consistent.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, because it's so impossible to wrap the brain around. So
if you're thinking 15 is where I'm trying to get, I can't get the 15. I can't get the 15. There's somebody else who has the same situation as you that's trying to get the 30. They just do different things with their time.
What do you suggest? I mean, I get up at 6,
yep.
work till 5.
This is so important. Thank you, Autumn, for saying that because you can't work anymore.
There's no, and I can't do all the sourcing by myself because I have to go out and get it. So I have to add that 2 hours to the day, almost 5 days a week, 4 days a week at least. And I don't want to work on the weekends. I mean, I'm willing to work Saturday, but like I love my Sundays free of eBay and cleaning and processing.
So this is something I really got from this book, Autumn. And it's going to sound so weird. And my wife has been telling me this for years, and I didn't understand it. So the guy that the book is based on, he has 180 days a year where he doesn't work. And before he starts the year, he and his wife get together and they write down what days and what they want to do during the year. 180 days a year, he does not work. Most people work around 250 days a year. They take 110 days off. They take the weekends off. This guy takes 70 additional days more off and makes hundreds of millions of dollars, taking way more time off. And you have to think about taking time off in order to do things that are more valuable. Okay, so let's say, for example, you want to retire 15 years earlier, right? That's not the same plan as somebody who retires at 67. Somebody who retires at 52 is on a different plan. When I told my wife, she's like,
but how do you do it? I'm still late waiting for you to
you do it by thinking about you having less time.
Oh, with your life.
Well,
like
no,
in general.
With everything. Like as an example, what if someone told you that you could accomplish your next 10 years goals in the next 2 years?
That I could feel real. I could relate to that.
The example he uses in the book is, can everybody here imagine their life exactly what you want 6 months from now? And most people would say, no, I don't think I could get everything that I want.
Is it 10x, the book 10x?
10x is easier than 2x.
10x is easier than 2x.
So most people would say, no, I cannot accomplish everything in my life that I want in the next 6 months, right? Anybody here think they can do everything they want in the next 6 months? I don't think so, right? I can't.
No.
Okay. So then, maybe Jamie can. But this, then the alternative is, how many people think they can get everything they want in their life in the next 25 years? And people were like, oh, I think I could definitely do it in less than 25 years. That's way too long. Okay. So then how much shorter and how? Your plan is different. So like, my wife and I were watching this thing, and this couple had retired at age 40. And we were watching this thing, and my wife was like, man, you know what? We could have retired by age 40 if we had done this plan. We didn't do this plan. Because like when we first started dating, we were thinking like, oh, maybe at 50 or 55, we could like be retired and just work for fun. Right. And the thing is, what you tell yourself becomes true. So if you tell yourself you want to retire, like you can't accomplish anything in 6 months. That's too short of a period of time. But you have to think about not having enough time. So it's counterintuitive. The people who make the most money generally take the most time off. It's really, really counterintuitive because it forces you to think about things that are more useful for your time. So for example, you think, I have a shoe selling machine. What can I do to actually make this machine better? And most people stop at photo station, shipping station, organizational system, sourcing route. That's okay. That's how you make a living, but that's not how you get rich. That's not how you become abundant. You have to become abundant by thinking of ways to make the machine better. So as an example, if you're a shoe cleaner, number one would be if you could source shoes that don't require cleaning. That would be big. So I actually think this is the solution, Autumn. You ready? And I think we unlocked this with Stasia shortly, like maybe about 10 days ago. We found out that for her to reach her goal, she would have to go from 15 listings a day to 11 listings a day. So she actually has the time to improve. She needs a few more hours in the day to look for, I don't know if she's like how fast her systems were, but going from 15 to 11 a day saved her an extra hour a day so she could work on improving her ASP. Because here's the problem. There's a lot of talking about, I'm just going to source higher ASP items. I'm just going to source higher ASP items. What happens is people, instead of listing 10 $10 profit items, they list 5 $20 profit items, and they make the same amount of money. They sold less but better items, but then they didn't. You have to sell more items and better items.
Yeah, that's what I need is more and better, because I have better and less. I have 550 store. I'm selling 8 to 10 a day, and I'm at 8,200. But I want a 1,000 item store.
Yep. But I know how you would do it. So you're at 15 a day right now. What you would need to do to get to the next level. Thank you for sticking with me for this really long story. You got to go from 15 listings a day to 10 listings a day and work on the systems that require you or that will help you get to 20 or be more consistent at 15. You've got to slow down.
Okay, I hear that because
you need extra time to work on your system so it can grow. The opposite is what people do. They end up saying, "I need to grind it out," but that's not actually.
That's what I keep thinking. If I just work harder, it's going to happen, but it never happens. So I'm like, wait a minute, you're saying what's happening to me? I'm not going to get anywhere unless something changes.
Right. So which means you've got to slow down, become more consistent, and think about what to do next.
Like you said, flea markets versus thrift stores, getting smarter, right, Jamie? Smarter, not harder. Yeah.
But you need time to actually work on that.
My ASP is at 45, so I have a high ASP. What I want is more volume.
Right. So what you need to do is you need to list fewer items and think about how to do more volume. So let me give you an example. I can give you a few examples of this. My new lease on my new warehouse starts April 1st because I don't know why, because I was trying to actually move into my new warehouse February 1st. But for some reason, there's all these construction projects preventing me from moving into this new space. So I've essentially not doing anything for 2 months while I'm waiting for this space to open. So I'm not growing right now. I'm just staying the same size, or at least I thought. But just staying in the same place for like I would say about 6 weeks, I've been waiting and not doing anything different. I've grown so much because I've had more time to think. So like for you guys to actually grow, you've got to cut your listing goal back, probably by like 3 to 5 listings a day, and use that time to think about what you can do. Because like what you're currently doing doesn't work. And here's
right, and I'm so busy doing it, I can't come up with.
You can't come up with anything.
Yeah, I'm too underneath it.
Here's the thing: when people are like, "Oh, Chris changes his mind a lot," and I think, "Bro, are you serious?" When I first started, my listing goal was 5 a day. Right now, my listing goal is 2,000 a day. How could the 5 a day person do what I'm doing now? It's completely different. If I had the same goal as 7 years ago, I would be doing the same thing, but I don't have the same goal. And this daily refinement thing, you can do that without working more. You can just work differently. I wouldn't even say work smarter, because you can't work smarter if you don't have the capacity to think about what to do next. This is why when Jeff Bezos is finally starting to release what he did for Amazon, probably because he's already done. So now he can talk about it. But he would have meetings with people, and the first 20 minutes of the meeting, they would read the memo. Because he's like, when I sent a memo and said, "Can you read this memo before the meeting?" Nobody did, because they had no time. Nobody has time. So during the meeting was the time to read the memo. And then we would discuss it at the very end. So now I understand. To grow, you've got to slow down or stay the same and think about your next move. And your next move is always incremental. If Papa's like, "I'm going to go from 5 thrift stores to 10 thrift stores," and he thinks about it, sets up the route before he starts doing it, right? He might be able to go to 10 thrift stores in less time than 5 because it's all mapped out, organized, traffic. What ends up happening is people end up making way more and working way less. You have to work less to make more. This is the part I did not understand. And my wife was trying to explain to me. At her company, everybody that she works with makes $750,000 a year or more. That's a pretty high income. All of these people take a lot of time off. And it's part of the plan, because to make more, you have to do whatever you're doing in less time. You have to do whatever you're doing in less time. So people who say, "I want work-life balance, I want this," they're actually on the right track, in my opinion. Because if you want a hobby, you got to get done with your work earlier. If you want a family, you got to be done with your work earlier. And how do you become done with your work earlier? Your machine has got to be better. So when I ask people what's working, I kind of want to know what makes your machine better. So for me, I now have people full times looking for items for me that meet the criteria that I'm looking for. That's one form of leverage, right? Because I used to go to the thrift store and I tried a little bit to talk to managers and stuff, and that didn't really work because I don't know if you guys have this situation in your Goodwills, but the turnover is really high. If you go to the same Goodwill 3 months later, it's a totally different staff here. It's not the same people. So that would be not an effective way to build a relationship because those people change too often. Now, I switched from that to a person at the flea market. If you guys have been to any flea market regularly, some of the people have been there for 30 years. That's reliable. The people that I bought from at the flea market, they're insanely reliable. That's their thing. That's their job, and they're professional buyers. If you guys want to try something really incredible, you should go to a Goodwill that sells bulk. I know there's a lot of shoe sellers in the call, but one of the biggest shoe buyers is in my warehouse building. Shares the space with me. He buys 90,000 pairs of shoes a month. 90,000 pairs, and about 85,000 or more go overseas. They don't even stay in the US. The thing is, how can you connect with this person that picks out the 5,000 good shoes out of 9,000 5 out of 90,000 that are worth trying to retail in the United States? He's sending the 85,000 pairs to people who just need shoes, right? As long as the shoes work, they're valuable wherever he's sending them. The ones here in the US, it can't just work. People want it to also be stylish, cool, maybe it has some other purpose beyond just keeping your feet dry. But like, you need time to meet this person. You need time to think about what you have to offer. So like, the momentum will grow. When you become known as something, then people will want to do repeat business with you. Repeat business is how this works. We're all building this machine. And I think it's helped a lot because now we have a numbers call every Thursday with Cheryl. And I thought it was really cool because a lot of people are talking about, should I start a corporation or should I stay a sole proprietorship? And here's the important differentiation. You are still a company if you're a sole proprietorship. You don't need this separate entity. People do not treat themselves like a company. Catherine, I think you would be better off treating yourself as Catherine Inc. Because Catherine Inc. would have some kind of objective. Well, the goal of Catherine Inc. is to serve 100 customers a week and to provide money for Catherine so she can buy a vacation home. But if you start a company, every single company has a mission. But if you work for yourself, a lot of people do not have there's no mission. They're just like, I'm a reseller. That's my job. They don't have there's no reason for the company to exist. So to grow, what Autumn means to do, she could try this for a month. Instead of grinding to try to do 15, when her machine is not good enough where 15 is easy, if that makes sense. For Autumn, maybe her machine makes it so 10 a day is easy. But if you make a few upgrades, 15 will be easy.
I think I have to take my eBay room and take everything out and put everything back in a more efficient manner. I've heard you say that a million times.
But I think that's just that will help you be more consistent, but that's not going to get you to 30 a day. And you don't have to get to 30 a day. I'm just saying that's the kind of thinking that produces that.
Yeah, but I was going to say it's going to lead me to getting to, because why isn't hiring somebody and going to 20 the answer? Because I know your capacity is 150 by yourself.
I know why. Because what happens is, let's say Claudia were to hire somebody or you were to hire somebody for 20 hours a week. You would now need to spend some of your mental energy hiring somebody, managing somebody, and managing the quality of their work. So instead of you reselling, you've now become a manager, quality control, and trainer for somebody else. And all of that takes a lot of energy and you have to pay them, right? So it's very, very difficult to hire. The first hire is so difficult. That's why it's such a so dramatic. Like if you look at eBay stores, a lot of eBay stores are in the like 0 to 2,000 items solo, but then you see stores with like 2, 3 helpers that are in the 5 to 10,000 range, and the best helper would be husband and wife team. Those teams are unstoppable. But you take your energy from reselling and you put it into the other person. So if you were to hire somebody, Autumn, you probably would not be able to list 20. You'd probably be making sure they list the 15 right for a long time. That's why the main thing that you need help with in the beginning, I think, is shipping, because that part doesn't require any monitoring. I'll give you guys a perfect example. You have to establish a standard that doesn't require you to have any management. So, for example, if Claudia hired me to do shipping for her, right? And every single time she had to double check if I was shipping the right item, it wouldn't be helpful for her. The only thing that would be helpful is, Chris, you do the shipping. She doesn't have to think about the shipping anymore. Now she can use that time to think about something else. The problem is, if you hire somebody for photos or listing, you still have to manage them and the quality. Because most people aren't good enough at their listings that they can hire somebody else to do it. They still have to double check. Most people definitely end up making less money after they hire somebody.
That makes sense. Yeah.
They spend all their time
control.
managing.
Bella said that happened to her too, because she hired somebody. She ended up fixing a lot of her, going back and fixing it, and it wasn't to her standard.
And you have to manage that person on top of that.
Their time.
Yeah. You have
Yeah.
to manage them and the quality of their work. So I've learned so much the last few years. In that book, Fair Play, it's also cards. I always talk about this a lot. But with your partner, you're supposed to establish a minimum standard of care for every single item. So this is the example that I want to use, and it works for reselling too. If you guys decide that the garbage can needs to be taken out before the garbage is over the brim, you guys decide that, right? Then if it's the wife's job to take out the garbage and the garbage is above the brim, then she has failed that task. But if it's below the brim, then the other person can't say, hey, take out the trash, because you've already established that the standard of quality is it has to be below the brim. So for your business, you have to determine your specific minimum standard of quality. That's the problem with why people can't hire. You can hire people right now if you have a minimum standard of quality. Like, is anybody here, they wouldn't accept, let's say, let me give you an example. Is anybody here scared of listing a book? Marika says yes. Sherry?
Yeah, I'm scared of listing a book because I figure that there's booksellers that know more than me. And so if I have books, like I've listed a few and nothing is really happening, even though I price them really, really low.
Yep.
I think that there's other people that do that all the time. So I don't know what I'm doing. And I also think it takes me too much time to look up the publisher and all of that other stuff.
Okay. But are there people in the group you think that are not scared of listing a book?
Yeah, I think there's probably people in the group that list books all the time and they're fast and they know how to do it correctly.
That's right. I think it's just because you have a little bit more experience and you have a machine that's more geared for books. I remember when I was selling books on Amazon, there's a book, and I think everybody here has heard of it, right? Whole30. Has anybody here heard of that book? It's a diet book on how to eat raw foods and lose weight. It had like a Amazon sales rank at the time of 8. Like 8th best book on Amazon. Okay. So you could basically list the book and it would sell instantly because so many people are looking, millions of people are trying to buy this book and there's not enough of them. So you could list it and it would sell pretty much in the same hour, right? So popular. That is where like that knowledge of that, right? If you went out and looked for all these diet books or these types of things in that niche, and you had a system set up and you knew which books would also flag your account. So maybe Beachbody books, even though they're related to fitness, those books will get your account suspended. All these little things that you learn come from staying in one area and making that machine better. So here's where I see people doing. They're actually working on 10, 12, 15 different machines at the same time. And it's just hard because the book machine is going to be different than the shoe machine. Shoe machine is different than the clothing machine. It's already hard enough to get one machine to work. And I think that looking at it from the outside, looking at Claudia taking a break and looking at Claudia's business from the outside and deciding what the goals are is the most useful thing you can do. And you can't do that if you're grinding all day. Literally years will go by and you will not have thought what to do next. Sherry?
Yeah, the way you just said that made sense, because if we think about the different machines that we know how to operate, like a sewing machine, yep. Car, I took a couple welding classes, I've taken a pottery class. You know, I feel like I'm pretty good. I'm really good at driving, and I'm pretty good, but absolutely not pro level at sewing machine, but I know how to troubleshoot it. And, you know, if something goes wrong or what kind of needle I need to buy, what kind of thread, what the settings are for the most part. If I think about it that way, like, okay, what if I needed to know how to do a scuba machine and, you know, the welding machine 100%, the sewing machine, and, you know, industrial bread mixer thingy, you know, all of that different stuff. That's kind of ridiculous to think about when you put it that way. It's like, why don't you just master a sewing machine and a car, you know?
Yep. And I think that applies to everything. Like you have a machine to make coffee in the morning. All of this stuff adds up. Claudia?
I feel that this thing about working less or listing less to have more headspace to do things, it ties back to Claudia the worker, Claudia the manager, and Claudia the owner. Because if you're in that position where you are just grinding and you can't improve things, it means that your manager doesn't have enough time in the day to actually do his job or her job. So I'm having the opposite problem. I love to manage myself, but not doing the work. But I feel like, yeah, when you feel like you can't go any further with what you're doing, then probably you need to make space in your schedule to manage your shop and to own it probably.
So what do you think is holding you back from doing what you could do during a day?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm distracting myself. I'm not listing enough. I know I have the capacity to do more.
Yep.
But I don't enjoy being the worker. I love strategizing and making plans and making spreadsheets and analyzing them. So I just have to go through it, I guess, and learn how to do that.
So what could you do? What's one thing you could do to reduce distractions? What do you think is your biggest distraction? Spreadsheet? That's definitely a thing.
I've started to write down, like, on an hourly basis what I'm doing every day. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like the task, so my private life or like my non-working time and my working time is so much blended together. It's insane. So I would look at my list at the end of the day and it's like, okay, from 11 to 12, I've listed one item. From 12 to 1, I've done that one tiny little thing. And then I know the rest of it is going and make some coffee, looking at Facebook for a little bit. Then maybe I do some online sourcing for 10 minutes, which is work, but then I will do something else. So it's like my work effort is stretched out like a chewing gum over the whole of my waking hours. So I just need to get better at it. But I don't want to take up time in this call because it's the high level call. So I feel that's like a low level problem.
I think that I actually feel the same way, in a sense that I feel like I'm not utilizing all my capacity, and I could definitely be doing more. And I think that the biggest high level thing I can think of is, in order to do more work, the machine just has to have the right incentives. That's how I look at it, because I don't like to do work really. I just set up my life so it's a little easier to get that done. So there are things that I like that I don't miss, like coffee. And for me, when I like, maybe it's the upgrade of the experience that I like more. So this is going to sound really weird, but I didn't become really consistent with photos until I was comfortable with the photo setup. Like, I actually liked the setup, and then I became consistent at photos. When I was drinking coffee, I originally would just use a regular coffee maker, and then I tried pour over coffee, and I'm like, oh, pour over coffee. I like this. It's like a fun experience, and coffee tastes good. And so I didn't mind, even though it's like a 10-minute process to make drip coffee or pour over coffee. I enjoyed it. But I think is the secret to being less distracted, making the experience more comfortable or more enjoyable? Or is it like, I can get this done as soon as possible so I can do something else?
It's a good question.
Because like, I think that what I was talking about earlier in the high level, if you only had this year to work on eBay, that's it. You can't work on eBay next year. This is the last year eBay is open. Do you treat it differently? Is it more urgent? And that's where my wife has always forced me to take time off. And I've not understood why, but I think it's always useful. I come back and I realize, hey, I would actually like to take more time off. So I want to be more efficient with my time, so I have extra. I want to have enough extra in my life that I can do this call. I want to have enough extra in time I can hang out with my kids. I don't want to be so full that I can't do anything. And also the capacity thing. I think urgency is how you get more done.
I think that's true. That's definitely true for me. Like, now that I think about it, it's I can't list while listening to calls. So
Yep.
I need to do listings before that or after. So when I know, like, at my time at 2 p.m. I want to be on this call, then these things have to happen at another time. And when I have to go to my job or I want to go to the gym later on, I need to get work done before that. And that's something that really works quite well. Because it's just like, yeah, if I want to put all these things into my day, I better get going right now.
Okay. Thank you, Claudia. And I think Robert just helped me with what we're talking about here. Okay. There's two different things we're working on as resellers. One is performance. How is your performance for the day doing? Could it be better? And Robert says that Dua Lipa schedules everything, including showers. 100% that works. You're trying to be an elite performer. That means that you're scheduling showers, when you go to the bathroom, when you eat, what you eat, your training, everything is scheduled. If you're trying to be like Olympic level athlete or superstar performer, yes, that makes sense. The thing is, when you're reselling, you have your own performance, but you also have the reselling machine. Like, you could be super duper lazy, but you have a person that brings you really, really, let's say Judith's son can do everything for her perfectly. And she has somebody who drops off stuff perfect. And her post office guy, she's dating, so he's never late with the packages. It's like this perfect synergy of resale business. And she's super lazy. She would still kill it because the machine is perfect. Stuff comes in, it gets processed, and it goes out. That's like, she's lazy, but her resale business is on fire. Individual performance is not the same thing as your eBay store. I think this is where people are getting a little bit caught up on, like, beating themselves up. I'm not doing enough. But the thing is, you're building something that can work without you. When you're sleeping, eBay finds customers for you. You don't have to find every customer. Brandon, do you have a comment? We'll go to Vincent. Vincent, sorry, you still available?
Yeah. My comment was just piggybacking off of, I think, Claudia's scenario when she was saying like things about her personal life are slowing her down.
Yep.
That's definitely a thing. And I just wanted to share, I had a thing where I used to get my photos and stuff done and everything done so I can have a whole set of things to list in the morning. And then just by accident, that routine wasn't working. It was working for me, but I was not satisfied with how long it was taking me to list them. And then I was thinking that I had started listing way faster by tracking like how many I was listing per hour. Then I realized after being really fast for a long time and ending up doing listings again in the morning, the morning is like horrible for me doing listings. Like I'm so slow. Like for some reason at night when I'm ready to like be done, I'm super fast doing listings. In the morning, everything distracts me. And I'm like super slow listing, like if I had never improved. That's it. That's all I wanted to say.
What is it in the morning that distracts you?
Everything. Like it could be constantly wanting to look at my phone. Other things like sometimes it's like street sweeping or making food, making coffee. It's just so much harder for me to stay sitting in the chair and doing the listings. Like everything is distracting me.
I think that's an important point because for me, listing in the morning is better because I move slower in the morning. So just sitting and listing is fine. And then when I get a little more energy later in the morning, that's when I want to do my photos and shipping and stuff because I need to move around for those. But if you can recognize what part of the day you are strongest at for listing or strongest at for photographing or when you really need a break or when is your slowest time in the day, it's important to recognize that so you can schedule the tasks that fit those energy times the best.
And I think recognizing your peak performance times is really useful because your family and your friends can get around that. Like if you perform really, really well during a certain period of the day, everyone will understand and let you do that. And I think if you don't, but the thing is, you need to have this special time that you are super productive. And maybe that's where Claudia needs to find her sacred time that she is in the flow. Maybe there's certain parts of the day where you're more squirrel brained or scatterbrained or distracted. It might be the morning, it might be the evening, it might be when you're tired, it might be when you're hungry.
I think you said the key word right there. When it's not nighttime, or honestly, I don't know. I think it's not the time of the day for me. It's actually just the sense of urgency increases a lot because I'm like I don't, you know what I'm trying to say. Like the sense of urgency increases to the point where like nothing else matters except for finishing this. And I guess earlier in the day, my brain is kind of like, open to distractions more.
Makes sense. Jamie, good morning.
Good morning, Chris. How are you today?
Excellent. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm good too. Thank you for asking. I think we should quit thinking about and using the term like separating our business and our personal lives. When you own a business that is that's personal to you. I give the example, if you own a daycare, you're responsible for the kids that are there from this time to that time. And when they go home, you don't have to worry about them. Somebody else is taking care of them. But when you have a new baby, that baby's your responsibility all the time. just like your business is your business, instead of you working at the daycare, you having a job where you can go home at the end of the day and you don't worry about it. With our businesses, it's 24/7. It's a new baby. So I would avoid, saying, I get the example, I need my personal time other than business time, but your business is 100% personal to you.
Agreed. I think work-life integration is really important, especially when you work for yourself. You got to build it all in. And I think that Vince sharing that he gets more stuff done before the end of the day because it's like crunch time. And I saw this dad blog. Right now, all of my Instagram is dad ideas. And there's this guy that's like, I race through the day, get all my work done. So when I put my kids down in bed, I can have 2 hours to myself to do nothing. And I want to do nothing. So I want to get all my stuff done and I do not feel guilty putting my kid down exactly on time so I can get that 2 hours for myself to do nothing or whatever I want. And I was thinking, it's the same thing, except for like, if you want to take 2-week vacation, you got to get all your work done in 50 weeks so you can take that 2-week vacation. If you want a 100-year vacation, you got to do your whole life's work in 1 year. So you got to make bigger moves. That's why I want Autumn to think about what it looks like listing 150 items a day or 50 items a day. You don't have to do that. It's just a useful exercise. When I heard that Zulily lists 9,000 items a day, I was just thinking, how does somebody list 9,000 items a day? What does that even look like? And then the Real, they list 20,000 items a day. What does that look like? And I'm just curious because maybe you look at how they do it and it inspires you to make a little adjustment in your business. It's not saying that you have to do that. Go ahead, Vince.
Question. So do you think like a person that truly has a capacity for, like say somebody has a death pile, 500 items in their death pile, their capacity, they can actually list 20 items a day,
yep.
But their listing goal is 5. So they're literally telling themselves, you have all this free time. So, their brain is kind of like on a 5 a day pace, when if they were on a 20 a day pace,
yes,
their behavior would just radically change. And, because they have this goal, 20 a day. So, it's like your pace changes to meet the goal. So by kind of on one hand, you have to, like you said, I agree with the giving yourself more time to improve.
Yep.
But then at the same time, if you give yourself too much time, you're giving yourself permission to underperform.
I wonder about this on the pace.
Let's talk about
it. If you guys came and visited me and watched the pace, I wonder if it would change your pace. I don't know if Matt is here, but like when you watch somebody's pace that's different, I think you it's just very different. The pace, like my post office carrier.
I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Did it affect your pace watching my pace?
A lot of things have affected what I did when I came back, but your business is so different from mine. Like the whatnot, I can't say I wasn't affected by the visit, because I was, but it wasn't necessarily the
what
pace.
What about what I do in a day?
Oh, well, I talked about it on the call. I mean, if anyone who wants to know what it was like, I did a recap of coming to see you on the soul call. Yeah, I mean, I was blown away by that and how much you had going on at one time and all that stuff, for sure.
Do you think your team helps you keep that faster pace though, Chris? Because yes. I know as a runner, it's way easier to perform, to keep a faster pace running if there's somebody with you running too.
Yeah, I'm the pacer.
Okay.
So I'm making it easier for everybody.
But even the pacer feels the people behind them though.
Oh yeah, that's true. But I'm the pacer. Because then here's the thing that one of my ladies was like, I want to make more money. I'm like, you ready for this? Because it's a different pace. You can make more money here.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've had a job before where you can make more money, but this is a job where you can make more money. It's just a different pace.
So
Like-
maybe on the one hand is, I'm sorry to cut you off. The team thing, like we're thinking about how hiring somebody can make you work, make less money, but maybe if you set the right environment or whatever, it can help you operate better, kind of work at a better pace.
And the better pace is always less steps. So like when I'm showing people the items, I'm like, we want to do the most item specifics in the least time. So sometimes thinking about things in extreme will help. I think hopefully this is like a useful statement right now. I want to do the most pictures I can in the least time, the most accurate photos without it taking too long, the most keywords in the title that can fit, that are relevant, the best price I can afford, the best promotion I can afford. I want to buy the best items from my store that I can afford in the highest quantity that I can afford. I think that kind of pushing myself has helped me make the pace shorter and shorter and shorter. And I know that whenever we remove a step, I can feel the company getting better. Like, I am going to share this, but when I wasn't sure if I was going to share this or not, but I had a lady that she added steps to my system. She'd be like, okay, I know how you do it this way, but I'm going to add in this thing here. And then I know you like it this way, but I'm going to also do this thing here. And at the time, I'm like, I'm going to fire this person immediately. Please do not add stuff. It's so dumb. If you were to come to me and say, I just reduced a step, I'd be like, let's increase your pay. I am so glad I fired her. And I was so worried about it at the time because I'm like, am I being nitpicky? Because she's adding this thing that makes her think she can do her job better. But like, it made her slower. Everybody else, it slowed down her pace because she's like, I want to, you know how you have these running shoes for us? I want to wear snow boots because there's these really cute ones and they're awesome. And I'd be like, you can, if it's just going to slow your pace down. And I know just like everybody else here wears running shoes. But adding steps is so frustrating to me. Like I remember she had these signs put up that took longer because you'd have to read the sign. And I'm like, it's already set up. So like, I'll give you an example. When you print out the packing slip, it says what number is on it, right? You take the number, shipment number 5. You walk over to the thing where number 5 is. You take number 5 out and then you put it into the bag. She would circle and highlight number 5 before she went to get it. And I'm like, that's unnecessary. Now I have to stock pens and highlighters. I don't want to stock pens and highlighters. And it takes longer. We're not doing that. No, she's like, it helps me understand which ones so I don't mess up. I'm like, I totally get that. I totally get that you don't want to mess up. But you won't mess up either if you just hold it while you walk over to get number 5.
Yeah, her brain is like just processing everything slower.
It's the pace.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it was so much for me for her to add. And I feel like everybody does that. Everybody adds extra steps to their day.
I was actually going to ask you for an example of like a step that you removed, and I thought you were giving us that example, but you gave us an example of her adding a step.
One thing that we removed is all of the. Let's see here if I can think about things that we removed. One thing I found is that I have around 10 different types of inventory. And what I found is that when somebody gets good at inventory, they get all that inventory because they're good at it. And I don't want, like, they already know all the little nuances. So like what I was doing before is like giving everybody like equal access to the inventory. And I cut that step out. Now, if somebody's good at the inventory, it belongs to them. They can do that. And it saved time there on the shipping. Now, before we, okay, for boxes take a long time to make. So I was showing my workers yesterday that I hold the tape gun the entire time. So I put the boxes to my left. Yesterday, we need to make 175 boxes. So I'm like, okay, you're going to fold the box here, tape the seam shut, and then move it, and then get the next one ready. But don't put the tape gun down. And it saved like an enormous amount of time removing the step of putting it down and picking it back up. Because each time they set it down, sometimes they would set it down in a different place. Right. And then also, like, don't move. Let's just make boxes for a few minutes. Why would you make a box and then go get a cup of coffee? Let's just finish the boxes and go do something else. Have your coffee, go to Starbucks on me after you finish the boxes. Don't go in the middle.
Maybe that's why I realized the other day that I had finished my photos a lot faster. And maybe because I had did the whole lazy Susan thing with the rotating table, kind of how Isaiah has.
Yep.
And I just realized when I'm doing that, I don't constantly set down my phone to move the pictures. I just hold my phone the whole time and snap the pictures.
Yes, that's so useful. Not putting stuff down. Good morning. What's wrong with the couch?
It's wet.
It's wet? Okay, I'll come dry it. I'll come dry it. Okay.
Now you need to go find out why your couch is wet, Chris.
And go find out.
Yeah, why is it wet?
So many different reasons it could be wet.
So many different reasons.
And you don't have a pet.
Don't have a pet. Also, you know how, or I learned this from another mom in the group, but like, if you need to do something with kids, it takes 15 minutes longer every single step of the way. And I know now why. Because your kids can sense your weakness. If they know you're in a hurry, they'll take extra long. So like, you can't let them feel that.
They always know the buttons to push. Always.
You cannot let kids know that you're in a hurry. That absolutely does not work. They can sense it. They know. Yeah. So one last thought. When you guys are, when we talked about reducing the number of listings so that you have time to think, you also need the mental real estate as part of it too. So like, this is where it becomes really hard. If you're stressed out and you're not making enough, it's so hard to slow down because you're going to feel like, I just need to grind this out. But you really need to take a step back.